When I was a little kid, my world never felt quite stable. My parents argued a lot, though they tried to hide it behind closed doors. At school, I was the quiet kid who often blended into the background, doing my homework on time and rarely causing trouble. But even with all of that, I was lonely. I had cousins who lived far away, and I didn't have any siblings to share secrets or fights or laughter with. That's when Emma came into my life. She was the new girl in third grade, sitting in the corner of the classroom with her hair pulled up in a messy ponytail and a look on her face that said she didn't belong anywhere. I still remember the way the teacher introduced her. "Class, this is Emma. Let's all help her feel welcome." Most kids just nodded politely and went back to whispering to their friends. But I felt something tug inside of me. I knew what it was like to feel invisible. At recess that day, I walked up to her while she was sitting alone on the swings. "Hi," I said nervously, clutching my juice box. "I'm Lily." Her eyes lit up in a way that felt rare. "Emma," she answered simply, as if she didn't expect anyone to care. That was the start of everything. From that moment on, Emma and I were inseparable. She came over after school, she stayed for dinner, and before long, she practically lived at my house. My mom would joke, "Should I set another place at the table permanently for Emma?" And honestly, it didn't feel like a joke. Emma was family. She was my chosen sister, the sister I never had but always needed. We shared secrets late at night during sleepovers. We whispered about which boys in middle school were cute, which teachers scared us, and which dreams we had about getting out of our small town one day. She was the person who picked me up when I felt invisible, and I like to think I did the same for her. But the thing about being that close to someone is that you never imagine there could be shadows behind their smile. I didn't see them, or maybe I didn't want to. Meanwhile, my parents' marriage was cracking in ways I couldn't understand back then. Their arguments grew sharper, their silences longer. Dad started coming home late from work, his tie loosened, his face tired. Mom seemed more on edge, snapping at small things like a glass left on the counter or my shoes by the door. And every single time they argued, I'd run to Emma. She'd listen to me cry, hug me, and tell me that it wasn't my fault. "Parents fight. It's just what they do," she'd say, trying to make me feel better. And I believed her, because Emma was always the person who made the chaos feel manageable. As the years passed, our bond only grew stronger. In high school, we became known as the pair. You couldn't say my name without saying hers. If you saw me in the hallway, she was right beside me. Teachers joked about how we were practically twins, even though we didn't look alike at all. But here's the thing. I trusted Emma with my whole heart. I trusted her in ways I didn't even trust my own family. She was the safe place I ran to when home felt like it was crumbling. Which is why, years later, when I stumbled across those secret messages, the betrayal cut so deep that it didn't just hurt me, it shattered everything I thought I knew about my life, my family, and the person I believed was my sister by choice. But before I get there, you have to understand just how much Emma meant to me. Because without knowing the depth of our bond, you can't understand the devastation that followed. One memory in particular sticks out. It was sophomore year of high school. My parents had just had one of their biggest fights, so big that Dad slept on the couch that night. I locked myself in my room, crying into my pillow. And Emma, who lived only a few houses down by then, snuck out of her window in the middle of the night just to climb into mine. She held me while I cried, brushing my hair out of my face. "I'll always be here," she whispered. "No matter what happens, Lily, you'll never be alone. You've got me." Those words stitched themselves into my heart. I believed her with everything in me. If someone had told me back then that Emma would one day be the person to tear my family apart, I would have laughed in their face. She was my other half, my anchor, the one person I never doubted. But life has a cruel way of twisting the people we trust the most into the ones who break us the hardest. And for me, that twist came the night I opened her phone by accident. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't even suspicious. It was one of those normal teenage hangouts. We were in my room, scrolling through TikTok and making jokes, when she got up to grab snacks from the kitchen. She left her phone on the bed, and when it buzzed, I glanced at it without thinking. It was a message notification, a name I knew all too well. And that's when everything started unraveling. Emma's phone buzzed again. I wasn't planning to look. Seriously, I wasn't. We trusted each other too much for snooping. But something about the name flashing across the screen froze me in place. It wasn't another friend from school. It wasn't some random classmate or group chat. It was my dad. At first, I thought maybe I was seeing it wrong. Maybe it was some other dad in her context, like a nickname for a teacher or something dumb. But then the preview of the message showed just enough words to make my stomach drop. Don't forget to delete these. We can't risk her finding out. Or finding out? Who was her? My mom? Me? I sat there, staring at the glowing screen, my heart pounding in my ears. A million thoughts ran through my mind, but not one of them made sense. Why would my dad be messaging Emma? And why did it sound so secretive? When Emma came back into the room holding a bag of chips and 2 sodas, I couldn't look at her the same way. I tried to act normal, shoving her phone back where she left it, but I knew something had shifted inside me. I laughed at her jokes, I ate the chips, but my mind was racing the entire time. That night, after she went home, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the words in my head. Don't forget to delete these. We can't risk her finding out. The next day, I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I misunderstood. But when Emma left her phone unattended again during lunch at school, temptation pulled at me so hard I couldn't resist. My hands shook as I opened her messages. And there it was. Thread after thread of conversations with my dad. It wasn't what I thought it would be. There weren't flirty messages or anything romantic. But in some ways, it was worse. They were long conversations about my parents' marriage. About my mom. About me. I scrolled, my chest tightening with every line. She's starting to notice the arguments more. I think she's blaming herself. Don't tell her anything, Emma. You're the only one I can trust with this. She deserves the truth, but not yet. If she hears it from her mom, it'll break her. You're the only person keeping her stable right now. Don't let her know. The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. My dad was confiding in Emma. About my life. My family. My pain. Why her? Why not me? Why not his own daughter? I wanted to throw the phone across the room. I wanted to scream at her, at him, at both of them. But instead, I closed the messages and shoved the phone back into her bag, pretending nothing had happened. Because I needed time. Time to figure out what any of it meant. For the next few weeks, I felt like I was living in a double life. On the outside, Emma and I were the same inseparable duo we'd always been. We walked home together, studied for tests, and stayed up late laughing at dumb videos. But inside, I was unraveling. Every time she smiled at me, I wondered what secret she was keeping behind that smile. Every time my dad ruffled my hair or asked about my day, I wondered what he had told her that he couldn't tell me. And slowly, I started piecing things together. It wasn't just friendly check-ins between them. It wasn't harmless. The messages revealed that Emma knew things, big things, about my parents' marriage. About the fights, the distance, the late nights at work. She knew why they were falling apart. And I didn't. It felt like betrayal on every level. I thought Emma was my safe place. I thought she was the person I could trust with anything. But instead, she was my dad's secret keeper. She was holding pieces of my life that were supposed to belong to me. And what hurt most was that she acted like nothing was wrong. She sat in my room, eating popcorn and painting her nails, while hiding the truth of why my family was collapsing. The day it all came to a head was a random Saturday afternoon. I was at her house, sprawled on her bed while she dug through her closet for something to wear to a party that night. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, and without even thinking, I grabbed it. This time, I didn't hesitate. I opened the thread with my dad and scrolled. And that's when I found the message that destroyed me. It's better she blames her mom than me. Don't say anything. Promise me, Emma. I felt my entire body go numb. My dad wanted me to blame my mom. He was using Emma to manipulate how I saw everything. I must have gasped out loud, because Emma turned around sharply. What are you doing? I looked up at her, my hands shaking, the phone still glowing in my grip. How could you? I whispered. My voice cracked. How could you lie to me like this? Her face went pale. She rushed toward me, trying to grab the phone, but I held it away. Lily, it's not what you think, she started. Not what I think? I shouted, my chest heaving. You've been talking to my dad behind my back for years. You knew everything about why my parents are splitting up, and you never told me. Tears filled her eyes, but I didn't care. I was past listening. You promised me you'd always be here, I said, my voice breaking. You promised I'd never be alone. And all this time, you were the one helping him lie to me. I dropped her phone onto the bed and pushed past her, running out of her room, out of her house, and down the street with hot tears streaming down my face. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had a sister. I felt like I had a stranger who had stolen my childhood right out from under me. And I knew, deep down, that things would never go back to the way they were. Not with Emma. Not with my dad. Not with anyone. That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, the weight of betrayal pressing on my chest. My family was falling apart, and now, the only person I thought I could trust had become the reason it was all crumbling faster than ever. And I didn't even know the full truth yet, because the worst was still to come. The next morning, I woke up with swollen eyes and a pounding headache, the kind you only get after crying yourself to sleep. My phone buzzed nonstop, missed calls, unread texts. All from Emma. I couldn't even bring myself to open them. Instead, I shoved my blanket over my head, trying to block out the world. But I couldn't block out the truth. My best friend, my sister and everything but blood, had betrayed me in the worst way. And my dad, the man I had defended in every argument, the man I wanted so badly to believe in, had been using her to manipulate me. When I finally dragged myself out of bed, Mom was sitting at the kitchen table with her mug of coffee. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept either. You okay, honey? She asked, her voice soft but wary. I wanted to scream, no, I'm not okay. Dad's been lying to me. Emma's been lying to me. My whole life feels like a lie. But instead, I muttered, just tired, and poured myself some cereal I had no intention of eating. The silence between us was heavy. Mom stared out the window, and I stared into my bowl. Finally, she said, almost to herself, sometimes, people you think you can trust, they end up hurting you the most. Her words sent a chill down my spine. Did she know? Did she suspect something? Or was she just talking about Dad in general? I wanted to ask, but I couldn't. Not yet. At school that Monday, Emma cornered me by my locker. Her eyes were red, her hair messy like she hadn't slept either. Lily, please, she whispered, gripping my arm. Just listen to me. I never wanted to hurt you. I pulled back like her touch burned. Then why did you? Her voice cracked. Because your dad asked me to. He said he couldn't talk to you directly. He said it would break you. He told me I was the only one who could keep you together. I shook my head, my heart twisting. So you lied. For him. She flinched. I thought I was protecting you. No, I snapped, my voice trembling with rage. You were protecting him. The hallway buzzed with chatter and slamming lockers. But in that moment, it felt like the world had narrowed down to just us. Emma's face crumbled, but I couldn't feel sympathy anymore. Not after everything. Stay away from me, I whispered, my throat tight. Then I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there with tears streaming down her face. For the first time since third grade, I walked through the halls alone. That night, I couldn't hold it in any longer. Mom, I blurted out after dinner. Why are you and Dad getting divorced? Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. She looked at me like she hadn't expected me to ask, like she thought I'd just accept it and move on. Sweetheart, she sighed, setting the fork down. It's complicated. Then uncomplicated, I snapped, surprising even myself with the sharpness in my tone. I deserve to know the truth. Her eyes filled with tears, but she stayed silent. And that silence told me everything. You know, I whispered, my voice shaking. You know he's been lying to me. Mom's lip trembled. Lily. No, I cut her off. Don't. I've had enough lies. Just tell me. She stared at me for a long time, her face etched with pain. Finally, she said, your dad wasn't always faithful. The words slammed into me like a truck. Faithful. I knew what that meant. You mean he cheated? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Mom nodded slowly. More than once. For years. The room spun around me. My chest tightened like I couldn't breathe. And you stayed? All this time? Her eyes filled with tears. I tried to keep the family together. For you. I didn't want you to grow up in a broken home. My head pounded. Broken home? What did she think this was? We'd been living in a broken home for years. I just hadn't known why. I stumbled back from the table, shaking my head. And he told Emma? He confided in her instead of me? Mom's face froze. What do you mean? The words slipped out before I could stop them. He's been messaging her. For years. She knew about everything. She knew before I did. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. The look on her face told me this was news to her. She hadn't known. And now, I wished I hadn't either. The days that followed blurred together in a haze of anger, betrayal, and confusion. Emma tried to talk to me every chance she got, texting, calling, even showing up at my house, but I ignored her. Dad noticed something was wrong too. One night, as I sat on the couch pretending to watch TV, he sat down beside me. You've been quiet lately, he said gently. I stared straight ahead, my jaw clenched. Why didn't you tell me? He stiffened. Tell you what? That you cheated on Mom. That's why you're splitting up, right? The color drained from his face. He opened his mouth, closed it again, then sighed. Your mom told you? No, I snapped. Emma's phone did. His head whipped toward me. His eyes went wide, filled with something I'd never seen before, panic. You went through her messages? He asked, his voice tight. She shouldn't have had them in the first place, I shouted, tears burning my eyes. Why would you tell her and not me? Why would you trust her with our family's secrets instead of your own daughter? He rubbed his hands over his face, groaning. Because you're my daughter. I didn't want you to hate me. I thought if Emma could be the buffer, it would protect you. Protect me? I choked out. You destroyed me. The room fell silent. His face crumpled, like he realized just how badly he had messed up. But it didn't matter anymore. The damage was done. I stood up, shaking. You don't get to decide what I can handle. You don't get to choose who tells me the truth about my own life. You lied, Dad. And you made my best friend lie too. He reached for me, but I pulled back. I don't even know who you are anymore, I whispered. Then I turned and ran upstairs, slamming my bedroom door so hard the walls shook. That night, I stared at my ceiling again, my heart hollow. My parents' marriage was over. My best friend had betrayed me. My dad had cheated and turned Emma into a secret keeper. Everything I thought was solid in my life, my family, my friendships, my childhood, was cracking apart piece by piece. And deep down, I knew the truth. I wasn't just losing my parents' marriage. I was losing the two people I loved most, my dad and Emma, because of secrets they should have never shared. But what I didn't realize was that the secrets weren't finished yet. There was still more hidden in the shadows. And when I uncovered it, it wouldn't just break me. It would burn everything to the ground. After that night with Dad, I couldn't look at him the same way. I couldn't look at either of them the same way, him or Emma. Every memory I had with them felt tainted now, like someone had taken a black marker and scribbled across the pages of my life. But the worst part was the questions. Questions that gnawed at me in the dark when the house was quiet. Who had he cheated with? How long had it been going on? And why did Emma know things I didn't? I needed answers. One afternoon, while Mom was at work and Dad was still working late, I found myself in the attic. I don't even know what I was looking for. Proof, maybe. Some kind of sign. I tore through boxes of old photos, holiday decorations, school projects. And then I found it. A showbox shoved behind a stack of dusty books. Inside were letters. Dozens of them, folded neatly, tied with a ribbon. My hands shook as I untied it and opened the first one. Dear Mark, it began. My dad's name. The handwriting wasn't Mom's. My heart pounded as I read the words. They were love letters. Confessions. Secret meetings. Promises to end things soon. Each one was signed with a name I didn't recognize at first. Jessica. I flipped through more, my chest tightening with every word. My dad hadn't just cheated. He had an entire relationship with another woman. One that lasted years. And then I found the letter that made my blood run cold. Mark, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep being your secret. She deserves to know. Lily deserves to know. She's not a little girl anymore. She'll understand one day. But if you keep lying, you're going to lose her completely. The paper slipped from my fingers. She knew me. This woman knew my name. And then it hit me. Emma must have known too. That's what the messages were about. That's why she was always so careful, always trying to comfort me, always telling me not to blame myself. She didn't just know about the fights. She knew about Jessica. I stumbled back, the box clattering to the floor, letters spilling everywhere. My vision blurred with tears. It wasn't just about Dad cheating. It was about years of lies. Years of secrets. Years of Emma being the one person trusted with the truth while I was left in the dark. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tear the house apart. But instead, I picked up one of the letters and shoved it in my pocket. Proof. If no one would tell me the truth, I'd drag it out of them myself. That night, I confronted Emma. I showed up at her house unannounced, pounding on her bedroom door until she opened it, startled. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice soft, her eyes red like she'd been crying again. I pulled the letter from my pocket and shoved it at her. You knew, didn't you? Her face drained of color. You knew about Jessica. About everything. And you let me sit there, crying to you, begging you for answers, while you kept this from me. She reached for the letter, but I yanked it back. Don't touch it, I snapped. Just tell me the truth. How long have you known? Her lips trembled. Since 8th grade, she whispered. The words slammed into me like a punch. 8th grade. That was years ago. All that time, she had known the secret that was tearing my family apart. Why? My voice cracked. Why would you do this to me? Why would you keep this from me? Tears spilled down her cheeks. Because he begged me to. He said if you knew, you'd hate him. He said he was trying to protect you. And I thought I was protecting you too. I shook my head violently. Protecting me? Emma, you destroyed me. You made me feel safe with you while you were hiding the knife behind your back. She sobbed, covering her face with her hands. I didn't want to lose you. You already did, I whispered, my voice shaking with rage and grief. When I got home, Dad was sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the TV. I marched up to him, the letter clenched in my fist. You cheated on Mom, I spat, throwing the letter onto his lap. With her. With Jessica. His face went pale. His mouth opened and closed like he didn't know where to start. Where did you find this? He asked hoarsely. In the attic. Where you buried your lies. He looked down at the letter, then back at me. For the first time, I saw guilt etched across his face, not the fake kind, but the raw, painful kind. Yes, he admitted finally. His voice cracked. I cheated. For a long time. And I never told you because I couldn't stand the thought of losing you. Tears blurred my vision. You already lost me. He stood, reaching for me, but I backed away. Don't. Don't you dare. His eyes filled with tears. Lily, please. No, I shouted. My whole body shook. You lied to me. You lied to Mom. You used Emma, to keep your dirty little secret. Do you have any idea what you did to me? To all of us? He flinched like my words were blows. But I didn't care anymore. I can't forgive you, I whispered. Not now. Maybe not ever. And then I ran upstairs, slamming my door and collapsing onto my bed, sobbing into my pillow until my throat was raw. The days that followed were a blur of pain. Mom filed the final divorce papers. Dad moved out into a small apartment across town. And Emma kept trying, but I couldn't even look at her without feeling like I was drowning in betrayal. My world had split into pieces, and there was no way to put them back together. But the story wasn't over yet. Because one final truth was still waiting to surface. A truth I hadn't even dared to imagine. And when it came out, it wouldn't just destroy my trust. It would destroy the very foundation of who I thought I was. I thought I had learned everything there was to know. I thought the worst part was already behind me, that my dad's betrayal, Emma's silence, and my family's destruction were as bad as it could get. But the universe wasn't finished with me yet. It started with another letter. I wasn't looking for it this time. I had shoved the showbox back into the attic, not wanting to touch it again. But a week later, when Mom asked me to help her clear out some of Dad's old things, I found a thin envelope tucked inside one of his desk drawers. It wasn't tied neatly with ribbon. It wasn't romantic. It was different. It was addressed to me. My hands shook as I opened it, the paper trembling between my fingers. Lily, it began, in handwriting I didn't recognize. If you're reading this, it means the truth has finally come out. Your dad and I never wanted you to find out this way, but life doesn't always go the way we hope. The truth is, I am your father's daughter too. I'm your half-sister. My name is Jessica's daughter, and he made me promise never to tell you. My vision blurred. I read the words again, my brain refusing to process them. Half-sister? Jessica's daughter? I stumbled back, nearly dropping the letter. My chest heaved, my throat closing up. No, this couldn't be real. But the letter went on, explaining everything. Jessica hadn't just been my dad's affair. They had a child together. And that child was someone I already knew. Someone who had been in my life for years. Emma. I collapsed onto the floor, my body shaking violently as sobs ripped through me. Emma wasn't just my best friend. She wasn't just my chosen sister. She was my real sister. My dad's other daughter. And she had known all along. The pieces of the puzzle slammed into place with brutal clarity. That's why Dad trusted her. That's why she always knew more than me. That's why she was the one he confided in. The one he begged to protect me. Because she wasn't just my best friend. She was his secret child. And suddenly, my entire childhood felt like a cruel joke. Every sleepover. Every promise. Every whispered secret about how we were basically sisters. All along, we really were, but no one had told me. I was living in a lie so twisted it felt like something out of a nightmare. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I shoved the letter into my hoodie pocket and ran. Out of the house, down the street, straight to Emma's. When she opened the door, her face crumpled. Lily, I was just about to call you. I shoved the letter at her, my hands shaking. Tell me this isn't true. Her eyes widened. Her lips parted, but no words came. That silence was enough. Oh my God, I whispered, stumbling back. It's true. You're my sister. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she nodded slowly. Yes. I choked on a sob, rage and heartbreak crashing through me. You knew this whole time? You let me sit there, thinking we were just friends, while you knew we were blood? You let me hate myself for mom and dad's divorce when you knew the truth? Emma reached for me, sobbing. I wanted to tell you. I swear I did. But dad made me promise. He said it would ruin everything if you found out. He said you'd hate him forever. I already do, I screamed. My voice cracked so hard it echoed. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? What both of you have done? She sobbed harder, her whole body shaking. I didn't want to lose you, Lily. You're my sister. You're the only good thing in my life. I thought. I thought if I stayed quiet, I could keep you. I backed away, tears blinding me. You didn't keep me. You destroyed me. And with that, I turned and ran, my heart splintering into pieces so sharp I didn't know if I'd ever put myself back together. The days that followed felt like I was living in someone else's skin. I went to school, but I didn't speak. I came home, but I didn't eat. I existed, but I didn't feel alive. Mom noticed, of course. One night, she sat beside me on my bed, brushing my hair back gently like she used to when I was little. I know you're hurting, she whispered, and I wish I could take it all away. But you need to know something. None of this, none of it, is your fault. I broke then, collapsing into her arms, sobbing like I was 8 years old again. Why didn't you tell me? I choked out. Her own tears slipped down her cheeks. Because I didn't know until recently. Your dad kept it from me too. I thought Emma was just your friend. I never knew she was. Her. Her words twisted the knife even deeper. It wasn't just me who had been lied to. It was all of us. Weeks later, after the dust had begun to settle, Dad asked to meet me. Reluctantly, I agreed. We sat in a coffee shop, the air thick with unspoken words. I never meant to hurt you, he began softly, his hands wrapped tightly around his cup. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes. But Emma, she didn't deserve your anger. She was just a child like you. None of this was her fault. I glared at him, my chest burning. You used her. You used both of us. You made her keep your secrets while I lived in the dark. Do you have any idea what that did to me? His eyes filled with tears. I know, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But I wasn't ready to forgive. Maybe I never would be. I stood, my chair scraping against the floor. You don't get to decide how this ends, I said, my voice trembling but strong. You already destroyed my childhood. But you don't get to destroy me too. And with that, I walked out, leaving him sitting there, broken. Emma tried too. She wrote me letters, left me voicemails, even showed up at my house. But every time I saw her face, I saw the years of lies. The nights she held me while I cried, knowing she was part of the reason I was crying in the first place. I wanted to forgive her. I wanted to believe she was just a victim in all of this. But forgiveness doesn't come easy when the wounds are this deep. Now, looking back, I realized something. Betrayal doesn't just break your trust in other people. It breaks your trust in yourself. I don't know if I'll ever believe in forever again, in promises, in words like always. Because my best friend, my sister, looked me in the eyes and swore she'd never leave me. And all the while, she was hiding the truth that destroyed everything. My family, my childhood, and the only friendship I thought I could count on. And that's how my whole life fell apart, one secret at a time.